Okay, so the first one I'm going to do in Photoshop, I've got a couple of images open, and this is essentially just patterning out of a picture. So it's a very, very easy way of making fractals. And if I've got the image here, it's got the transparent background. Really, all that has to happen, I'll just move this so I can see my layers. I just grab one of my layers, duplicate it, and when I go Command T, so I bring up the transform tool, what I'm going to see right in the center is you've got this center mark. And whether you rotate, scale, whatever you do, it always happens around this point. That's the axis that everything comes off. So if I pop it down here somewhere, once I do a series of maneuvers, so if I scale it slightly, if I rotate it a little bit, if I even move it a wee bit, as soon as I hit return, and it's made that change, what I want to do is I want to hold down Command, Option, Shift, and then every time I hit the T, it repeats that transformation. So all I'm doing at the moment is hitting T, and it's going to make that crazy looking fractal going on and on for forever. Now, what I'll do at this stage is I can look at this up here. Oh, sorry, all these menus. And I can just go merge visible. So all of this becomes one layer now. And I can essentially do exactly the same thing. So I'll move this one a wee bit. And I was going to go Command minus. And I'm just going to make this page a wee bit bigger. Now with this, I do the same thing. I grab that layer, I drop it on the new layer icon, so I've kind of made a duplicate, and it's the same thing on that top one, Command T. This time with that center point, I'm going to try and drop it down here over the end of where that fractal is, and then instead of scaling it, all I'm going to do is I'm going to give it a bit of rotation. As soon as I hit return or enter, and it's made that change, now I can go Command, Option, Shift, hit the T, and it's going to go through and it's going to perform that same sort of setup. Again, I can come up here and go merge visible. The other way, if you want to actually, if you're scaling things and you want to do it layer by layer, if you click on it and you go Command E, it merges with the one directly underneath it. So you can just sit here and go Command E and do it that way as well. Once I've got that, you can just expand it out by duplicating it. I'll click on the one underneath and Command T, and then if I hold the Option key, I can scale out from the center, and I can manually rotate it if I want to get everything askew a little. And I can do the same thing again if I want to fill in these edges. Just duplicate it, Command T, holding down the Option key, scale it out, and again, just give it a bit of rotation. So really, really simple way of building up a fractal. And the thing is with this as well is that it doesn't have to be the whole thing that you utilize, because it can get a bit heavy. Some of these outside areas, start to become really interesting as well. What I like that sometimes can get an interesting result is just so it's all one thing, and then I'll go select subject and see what it decides on. So I'll do the mask. Oh, yeah, okay. So this one, some of these areas around the edge are really interesting. But I'll show you one that I've got here selected out. So this was one before, and I'll show you the image if I switch off the mask. So this is another image, and I'll show you what the image is in a minute. And then with the mask switched on, some of these things you just couldn't get any other way. But this area through here, it's really, really interesting what it selects as the subject. It's worth trying, because sometimes you can get quite a nice result. All right, so we've got that one. So this one here, this was the image that we were looking at before. So with this one, I'll duplicate it, Command T. This time I'll keep it more in tune with the bottom corner of that image. And I'll try scaling it up slightly, rotating it, moving it a wee bit. And we'll see what happens now. As soon as I hit return, it's holding down the Command key, the Option key, and Shift, and then just hitting T. All right, it's going to scale right off. And if I came here and you can see what's happening there. It's going out beyond the boundary of the page. But something like this, let's go. Even this is starting to give quite quite an interesting looking image. And okay, so along with all of this, I'll open up that people one for a second. The thing we're going to start playing with now is a pattern maker. And actually, if I look here, I've got the patterns, and what you'll find is if I click on this layer and I click on a pattern, even some of this stuff with the work you're doing, like the way that it clips, creates a pattern, but it kind of clips in, can end up giving a really, really nice, a nice result. And if we just look at this, if I shift and switch off the layer, you can see all it's doing is it's putting that pattern. It has a transparent background right across the image. And if I unclipped it, then it would go beyond the image. It would fill the whole page. So it just automatically sort of clips it in there. And we could easily then just add our own one in. So I'll see if I can do it here. Now that's just going to change it. I need to make a new layer, chuck the pattern in there, and then clip it. And of course, if we want the rugby player in front of it, we just swap them swap them around. But, you know, a quick and easy way to get some kind of beautiful, beautiful abstractions and beautiful changes going through the imagery. So anyway, I'll get rid of this one, and actually I'm going to get rid of all of these patterns so that you can see the process. Okay, so I've got an image here. I've clear cut it. It's got a mask. I'm on the layer. So what I do now is I'll section it off. Really easy. Select it. Define the pattern. Excuse me. I can give it a name if I want. Okay. Command D. I can get rid of that. Make a new layer. Edit. We edit fill. And this is where it becomes a bit more interesting. Like, you have your foreground and background, but you've got your option here that says pattern. By default, I'm not quite sure what it comes up with. I don't think it comes up with symmetry, but we'll go with symmetry. You'll see there's a whole lot of options under there. This one here is important. Don't have preserve the transparency switched on. I think by default it's off. Go OK. And you'll see you've got a whole load of options to choose through here. We'll pick 32. You can see the way it changes the scale. There's a lot of options to play here with. To be honest, it can be difficult to know what's going on. You just have to have a play and see what you can come up with. Go OK. And we have this beautiful pattern fill that has transparency through it. So again, let's try what we had before. So if I click on this, go to my patterns, and if we just click pattern, oh yeah, it's getting tricky to see what's happening, but it's clipping itself within there. The only way we could work out exactly what's going on there, I suppose, is if we come in and add a color onto that one, but actually that might, no, it's not, sorry, that's going to clip it onto the whole thing. So you'd have to put the color down first, so that's clipping onto the bottom one, and then this other one is over the top. So you can kind of see if I can change that color to something that makes it a wee bit more obvious. Yeah, so as I do it there, you can see that clipping the pattern onto itself, but without that kaleidoscopic kind of fill, that symmetry, you can see it sitting in there. But as soon as you take the color off, it's hard to know what's going on. All right, so let's have a look at another one. So beer mosaic. So this is a similar sort of thing, but a little bit different. We'll make our pattern again. So we'll select it. Yep, we're on the layer. Edit. Define pattern. Yeah, give it a name if you want to. Okay. And this time what I'm going to do is I'm going to make a new layer. I'm going to get the eclipse tool, and when I drag with this, holding shift to get a circle, you'll see up here, by default, I think it comes in as shape. Okay, sorry, I just got rid of it. So that's the important factor, is you want to have it there as shape, and then we can go edit, fill, symmetry, we have place along path. We go okay, and again it's going to bring in a whole lot of details. You can see, I can see here that actually I forgot to actually choose the bear. So fill, choose the right pattern, place along path, and then we'll get all this material. So we've got the scale, the spacing, you know, whether you want to have them starting to overlap because I've got that transparency, and there's distance from the path. So if I move that, so they're sitting on top of that line, so they're going to be on the outside of that circle. I might just bump them a little bit so they're crossing it slightly. Let's just see how this looks. Okay, and size of the bears and the scale and everything, so I could start to change that down. So if I go Command Z, fill back to all this sort of stuff, and I can say, okay, so that scale was a bit much. Spacing, it looks a wee bit too close to me now, so I'll go okay. Okay, I can add a few more. So I could have scaled it right down again. So once you've got this, you can just go to your paths. And you can say, okay, I don't want that path anymore. And with our layers, we know that we've got the same sort of thing with the rotation. So I can duplicate it. Command T, the center point's in the middle. So I can rotate the bears a bit. I can get them if I want, so that if I hold down the Option key, scaling from the center, so I can drop them down a bit, drop them right inside. And maybe I'll take that one, duplicate it, put it right to the back. And now with this one, I'm just going to, holding down the Option key, so it scales from the center, shift, keep it nice and straight. Oops, sorry, no shift. And start to build it out. And you know, as far as patterns and everything go, then you've got all the stuff again from the very front, where you can start to go through your dark and all those other controls that you get to manipulate. Or things like, if I just go on the middle one, double click, and you have this where the darkest areas are you can see it here, they're going to show through, or the lightest areas, or you know, areas coming through from below. And that holding down the Option key and splitting these makes it a little bit more subtler. So if I go okay with this, it's a little bit hard to see, so I'll just chuck a get rid of the properties, chuck in a solid. And okay, that's going to give us a better impression of the of the transparency. I probably have to change the color a little bit. It's a little bit harsh the way it's come through.